Call to order the meeting of the Gladstone City Commission on Monday, December 9th, 2013 at 7 p.m. Our first item is invocation led by Commissioner Nemechek.
Let us pray. We're grateful tonight to be able to meet as free people that are able to govern ourselves. We ask that you be with us in our decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next item is a roll call by the city clerk.
Mayor Mackey.
Here.
Commissioner Mattinen.
Here.
Commissioner Nemechek.
Here.
Commissioner Bostwick.
Here.
And Commissioner Gay is absent.
Oh, I wasn't listening, was I? Commissioner Gay sent me a text message. He's been fighting a migraine all day today. He said he was losing. The Commission Rules of Procedure says that must be an excused absence if we're not to consider an unexcused absence. I'm assuming none of us have a problem with that?
No problem.
No. So excused. Commissioner Gay is excused for the evening. He still just to feel better. Next item is public comment. Does anybody in the public want to comment tonight? No? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which consists of the City Commission regular meeting minutes of November 25, 2013, Parks and Recreation regular meeting minutes of November 12, 2013, and the payment of bills.
I would move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to accept the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion is carried. We have a public hearing tonight for proposed ordinance number 592, the fireworks ordinance, which was presented to us by staff, primarily by the Public Safety Director, Mr. Geyer, at our last meeting. Since we don't have all 5 commissioners here tonight, if we're going to vote on this matter tonight, which the commission will have to decide, we would need a 4 to 0 vote in order to pass this ordinance, or we could hold a public hearing tonight and then take action at a future meeting. So, whatever the pleasure of the commission.
I think the ordinance is a no-brainer. I think we should approve it.
I would guess Commissioner Gay would agree with that. So, we are going to have a public hearing. If we could start the clock. Public hearing is open. We'll give a minute for any public comments. Okay, we will close the public hearing. Hearing no input, do we have any comment from the city commissioners about this ordinance? Or are we ready for a motion?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and supported to approve ordinance number 592 on fireworks ordinance for the city of Gladstone. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion is carried. Thank you, Paul.
Do we need a roll call on that? Roll call?
Oh, please, you did too. Do we need a roll call vote on that?
Only if there was a dissenting vote, so.
She would have caught me beforehand if I would have gone to that point. Next item on,
But it's not required.
next item is waiver for the policy for sale of city-owned property. Darla?
November 11th of this year, the City Commission approved a 5-year ground lease for Steve and Vicky View. One of the options in the ground lease at the end of the 5 years, they have a couple options. They can walk away from the ground lease. They can purchase it for $1. And if they choose to purchase it, that would trigger the policy for sale of city-owned property. City Commission approves policies like that. Staff enforces them. They are here tonight asking for an exemption to that policy. So if at the end of 5 years, they choose to purchase the property, when the policy is enforced within 18 months after the purchase, the policy requires them to construct a development on the property. They are asking for a waiver to not have to build after the 18 months.
Would you like to address the commission either Mr. or Mrs. View? Good.
Well, do you have any questions on what I'm asking for as far as, I mean, I can explain a little bit. I don't know how much detail you want me to get into, but the main thing is I run a business in Gladstone. It's Spotlight Coaches and A-plus Computer Concepts. I needed some extra space because every time I buy a bus, I hate to get rid of the other bus because the parts are very valuable. I already run an office and a little depot over here and a big garage to house them. I'm not saying I never want to build there. Maybe eventually I will. But to be forced to run 2 offices or 2 buildings, even in the future, would not be advantageous for our small company in Gladstone. What I needed was extra land. Darla worked really close with us, and I think we got what we need as far as parking our buses, maybe some electronic recycling bins and stuff I can put on the land. I really don't need the building there, but that's not to say, I'd like to be my option and my wife's option to be able to build on it. Maybe I'll build right away, I don't know, but right now, I don't see that in the future. So what I'm asking is, if I purchase the property after the 5 years, that I can just continue utilizing it as I have been for the first 5 years until I see fit to build or whatever needs to be done. And the property is, if I'm not mistaken, it's back farther. It's not on the road. It's right. It borders. Is that a junkyard or something? UniFirst and Reliable Recycling or something. So I'm not out in the public eye. We're as far back as possibly you can get. Matter of fact, the road ends at almost the beginning of our property.
Right across the street from the city electric garage.
Yep, right across the street. So, I mean, that's all I'm looking at is I just don't want to be obligated to do something I don't need. And I don't know how many people like to run 2, you know, if the need arises, fine. But right now, the expense, I can even see in the future. I don't want that expense of being able to do it. That's all I'm asking for. So if you have any questions.
Commission have any questions?
I mean, it's kind of a unique situation. You know, most people buy property up there. I don't know how much property sold, but I talked to a couple up there. They said a couple of pieces sold in the last 6 to 10 years. You're not selling a lot. Development is real low. I can utilize that piece to probably stabilize my business a little bit, not have the clutter downtown. One other thing is I process wood on it. And if you remember, I had like 10 or 12 cords of wood right on 9th Street. I didn't like it. I mean, my wife didn't like it. I didn't care. You know, a little mess never bothered me. But I
You're
have
talking about 8-foot sticks you turn into firewoods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I utilize it for that too. So it kind of keeps stuff out of the city a little bit that's more junky looking, which is my favorite stuff, junk.
Wasn't the purpose of this property so that there wouldn't be buses in town? But it doesn't sound like that's what he plans on.
As far as what?
There'll still be our main buses we keep in the garage down here.
I have 12 buses,
How many?
12.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay, that's why.
I keep the readily ones that we use daily at the old Ben Franklin place there.
Oh, how many can you fit in there?
I can fit 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. There's,
But I park a couple outside too. The main thing for this is I don't utilize the public roadway, even though I think I have a right to use it because I pay my taxes, I pay my plates, I pay my insurance. But I don't have any problem not parking on the road if I have a spot to put the other buses. But they were usually parked behind my shop alongside.
so the
my-
buses that are now parked along the alley is what have up on the,
Nope, I already got 3 buses up there. The
oh,
ones that are, there's two in the alley right now. I got one on my property, in the parking lot, and one behind my shop. Then I got 2 inside the shop. Them are buses I use daily. I'm not planning on putting them up there. The other buses are already up there, and I have a bus stationed in Ford River, Wells, that I can also utilize and put up there. It's for the overflow. I still need my buses here because that's where they're maintained, that's where I depart from. I think what we talked with Darla was, we're trying to get the buses off the street. And if I can get 4 or 5 buses out of this area and park up there,
I see.
I can utilize my own property in the back of my shop and alongside my shop without using the public street.
Okay.
And that's the main goal of this deal, I guess,
Well, there was a couple things. You previously purchased a lot on Delta Avenue, thinking you could park all your buses there. Current zoning will not allow that. You've also commented, and we've talked several times about parking your buses along 9th Street where the spot is only, long enough for a car. Your buses take up 2 spots. That long-term parking is not allowable in that area. You need designated bus parking where, a bus would
Right.
fit in there. That's not available downtown anywhere around your building. So we need to fix that somehow.
And that's what
That
we're trying to
building
do.
isn't big enough to house all the buses, then they need to go somewhere else where they have the room to park and remain.
So as I understand, our staff has worked with Mr. and Mrs. View to create an area in the industrial park to take some of the items that probably shouldn't be in the downtown area and put them up in the industrial park.
Well, they don't look good downtown.
Right. I was trying to make it nice. And trying to make my words nice by how I was describing it. And the site that's been identified in the industrial park would require the Views to purchase within 18 months, and they obviously feel that should be waived. So that's the decision the commission has to make tonight.
Well, what did you say? I don't think you said it right.
5 years, they have the
At the
option
end
to
of
purchase
5
it.
years.
5 years, what did I say, 18 months?
18 months.
18 months.
I meant 5
Well,
years.
my understanding is I lease it for 5 years. I make the deal with the property I have in Gladstone. And then I can purchase it for $1 or walk away. I would like, if I put an investment out there, like with a fence and put a road in and all this other stuff, I'm probably not going to want to get rid of it. But what I'm asking for is not to build another building to house my buses or other equipment that I might have up there. So I have the expense of 2 buildings. I don't want that unless I can afford it. And
18 months to build a building is what it says, yes.
yes,
After
that's what I'm
5
asking to
years.
be
5
waived.
years.
I think that's the
Once you
part I'm
purchase-
asking to.
That's the part you want to have a waiver on. You don't.
I don't want
you're
to
not
develop
necessarily
it
gonna
unless
build a
I
building in
need
18
to.
months. Okay. So,
Does construction development infer a building?
Yes. Hooking
he's
up the
talking
city
about a fence.
utilities.
Well, to require, I don't want a fence either, but to require me to put a fence, and I don't have any problem with a fence on 2 sides because the other sides are bermed like 5 feet. They just push the dirt up,
I see.
they
When
want it.
his current site plan went to planning commission required the whole thing to be fenced.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that. Okay. So you have to put a fence up. Okay. How big does this building have to be?
Yeah, that's,
Could he put an
know-
office trailer in there? Would that satisfy? I don't know, I'm just
well, I
asking.
don't want to do
Yeah.
something to get the city mad at me, because I've thought of, build a 10 by 10 building, put it on blocks. But I mean, I'm just giving you my honest, what I want to do or what we plan on doing, because I know you've had rough dealings before where you thought you had something in the plans for a development of a piece of property and it never materialized, and you put something a lot less than what you expected, and I don't want to run into that boat and get people upset with me.
You would have to submit another site plan to Planning Commission with
To-
the
to be-
dimensions of the building.
If I was to build.
Right, yep.
Well, is there a limited size? I mean, I could build a tiny building.
Off
fish
the top
shack.
of my head, I don't know that answer.
For the development of the use and the
Right.
practicality of what you're proposing to do in a very small building. I mean,
Well, I look-
there's some logic and some sense there that, as far as actual dimensions, they don't set that. You would propose that to them. And then they would look at it to say, your intended use is either going to be accommodated in that building or not, so that's
Well,
a
my
way that-
intended use as of right now won't need a building unless I mean, if I ever sell the one downtown, if the city wants to buy it or something,
Well, okay,
develop that.
let's bring this back to center here. The commission is being asked to waive the policy requiring you to build within 18 months, and it seems like it's unclear as to what that even means. Is that what the commission's feeling is tonight?
So you have a 5-year lease. Within that 5 years, if you do purchase it, then you have 18 months. So you could own it for 6 months, make the purchase, and then the clock would start running on this.
Right. Once he gets the deed and he's the property owner, he's got 18 months to build something on it.
Unless we waive it tonight.
Correct,
But he's got 5 years to use it before the 18 months has to start.
right.
Correct.
And each year he pays $1.
Yep.
That's a deal.
I'm given a piece of property. We're switching properties.
No, I understand. On Delta.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I think the facts are clear. What's before us tonight? I don't know if the decision is clear. We'll find out if there's a motion.
I personally don't see why a man should be asked to build a building when, in fact, the purpose of him owning the property is so he can store buses. That was the intent, right? To get the buses off of,
Well, but the discussion went out, as far as building a bus depot. A bus depot is a building, you're gonna have visitors parking there, he's gonna hook up to city water and sewer, electric, you have to have a restroom there.
doesn't sound like he's in a very convenient location for a bus depot.
No, it'll never be a bus depot as far as
I don't know if I could find it.
my customers that live in Gladstone or come from Rapid River will never go there. I've talked to them since I've made the deal, and they don't even want to cross the highway. Right now, I use the Legion parking lot.
That's for when you go to the casinos and things
Well,
like that?
overnighters, wherever we go.
Yeah, okay.
Your buses go north, south, east, west from Gladstone, so they don't wanna cross the highway?
The people don't. My buses do.
Yeah,
My buses go anywhere.
so,
But my people that have to meet the buses, I would never have a depot up there. It's too far out of the way, too inconvenience for people. They don't,
Depot is not considered allowable in the current district.
Where it's
So,
located, I think they just wouldn't want to park in an area.
I mentioned it to them, and they already told me, well, how about picking us up down by the park and ride, by the tracks there on 9th Street? I mean, that's what they're telling me already.
and zoning districts, kind of tell where that type of facility can be. And right now in downtown, it's not allowable in a residential, commercial area for that kind of development. So that's one of the other issues.
Why just use a local parking lot right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that we can bring this back to center, I believe we have the facts in front of us. I don't know that we're prepared to make a decision unless I hear a motion. I see lots of eyes looking at me.
Well, I guess my motion would depend on the purpose that the prior council had in making him the deal on the land. If the purpose was to have a depot there, then obviously I'd be against it, but if the purpose was to just get the buses off the street and get them buried back in the industrial park somewhere, sounds like most of the buses he's putting up there don't run, or he's gonna use them for parts and,
They do run.
well,
but they're
not very well. You don't take them on trips,
No.
not unless you're really hard pressed.
Well, if one goes down, I can requisition one and put it in service.
I see.
Okay, this is before us tonight because staff needs direction from us, and it sounds to me like the policy needs to be revisited by the people who recommend policies to us. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Can I read you the staff report that was presented to the City Commission
Certainly.
November 11th?
Sure.
This is a staff report prepared by myself. I am proposing to lease a parcel of land, 250 by 400 feet, to Steve and Vicky View on Clark Drive in the North Bluff Industrial Park for 5 years in exchange for a deed for Lot 9, Block 32, original plat of the City of Gladstone. A survey of the parcel is attached. A site plan was presented to Planning Commission October 15th. The site plan was approved with language to be included to enclose the area with a fence in the lease agreement. The Views plan to use the property for e-recycling, storage business, park motor coaches and vehicles, and for storage of above-ground diesel fuel tank.
So, does that change your opinion?
Didn't sound like any buildings involved.
Didn't sound like it to me either.
No, so I don't see why he should be required to.
Is that a
I
motion?
would, yes.
Do I get a support? Well, in order to bring the matter to a vote, I will support that motion. So there is a motion and a support to approve, to waive the 18-month requirement to build a building on the site that's been identified by staff. In return, the city is receiving title to a parcel of land, a lot on the 700 block of Delta Avenue, correct?
Lot 9, Block 32.
Yeah, the 700 block of Delta Avenue. And the applicant would go forward with the development just described to us by city staff. I think that motion's pretty clear, so I would ask for...
When does the city get the deed to the land when
Same day they
when
sign the
the
ground lease.
Views pay the dollar exercise,
Right, to sign the ground lease.
Right
the
away.
ground lease?
Right, as soon as we sign the lease,
Okay.
immediately.
Oh, as soon as you sign the lease, it's,
Yeah, you don't have to wait 5
Right.
years, you get it right away.
okay,
I'm forfeiting that if I want the land or not.
I get you, okay.
So, I'll call a
And that's
question.
what you want to do?
I'll call a
Okay.
question. There is a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
You don't have to build. But we hope you build.
If I get the money.
But you don't have to.
Next item on our agenda is we're being asked to amend our utility shut-off policy. Darla?
January 25th, 2010, the City Commission at that time approved this document, utility shut-off policy, and that's what we've been following since then. Some rules have changed recently. The Department of Human Services have made some changes regarding if you are behind on your heating bill or utility bill, you can go to Department of Human Services and request they help you with your bills. They will only now, after these changes, give you heating and utility assistance during their winter season, which is considered October 1st through
November 1st
November.
through May 31st.
So that made us kind of look at our policy, and that's why we're here tonight to recommend some changes. We are not the only utility in the area, so whenever we look at proposing changes, we contact other area utility companies as well and see what their policy says and what their fees are. So the shut-off process has become quite lengthy. On the current month bill, it says past due amount, if you have a past due amount. So that's the first notification to the property owner. A week after that, we send them, it's a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. It's printed on pink paper, so it's very visible to them, again stating what their past due amount is. If that is not paid,
That's your second notice.
that's the second notice. The third notice is this bright pink door hanger. Again, telling them all the details, how much they need to pay to avoid shut-off. If no payment is made there, 2 days later, we give them the red notice and actually flip the switch. So they actually have probably 3+ weeks between the time they receive that first past due bill and the final shut-off notice. What we're noticing, it's the same people, and for whatever reason, that's how they, choose to pay their bills or whatever. So we are proposing to increase some fees. It's not about the dollar. It's really not. It's about the labor of having, from what I'm told, that the pink notices, we're delivering sometimes up to 200 a month. And that somebody has to physically visit that property to put this door hanger there. The first 2 are done by the mail. And then by the time we get to the actual shut off, again, that's people going back to the property to turn the power off.
So right now, you've switched over to what it costs to deliver these items.
Yep. And that's
I guess
what we're
I
trying
was
to
thinking
recover a little bit.
we were trying to take a look at what DHS wants us to do if they're going to pay for the customer. So they're okay with that?
Yeah, we have to kind of align our policy with their policy.
I'm assuming the DHS part of the assistance they would give to the customer who is unpaid utility bill would be to pay those fees?
Right, or, well, the property owner has to pay a portion. DHS will not pay 100% of the past due bill. So once the property owner can prove they've paid their portion, DHS will kick in whatever they agree to. And they have to meet with a caseworker at DHS and go through, paperwork and,
So unless the property owner can come up with some of the money that's due on the bill, DHS isn't going to participate at all.
correct. Yep. But there's other agencies too, St. Vincent de Paul, Salvation Army. There's other agencies they can, request assistance from. So when we get to the door hanger stage, that would be this one, we are proposing a $20 fee, and that will happen automatically. If we fill this out and deliver it, $20 is added to their account. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's automatically done by our utility billing system. Another charge that we're looking to amend would be the penalty rate. Patty LeBombard is our utility billing clerk, and she pulled our penalty register from last month. We collected we billed $2,130 in penalties last month. That is at a 2% penalty rate. We are proposing to increase that to 5%. And you can see a couple of the other surrounding penalties are already at 10%, 3%, or a $10 flat fee. Reconnection fee on the enforced shutoff. Currently, that's $15. We do currently charge that. We're requesting that go up to $30. Reconnect during normal business hours. We have called the linemen out after hours and turned people's power back on. According to our union contract, if we call out union personnel after hours, they automatically get paid a 2-hour call out. So if the property owner is going to insist on getting their power turned back on after hours, then we want them to pay a $100 fee to cover our costs, that 2-hour call out for the employee. If they can wait till morning, they don't have to pay the fee, and we will only reconnect during normal business hours.
That becomes urgent in weather like we're gonna see tonight.
Right, but in weather like this, we wouldn't turn people off.
So, there you go.
We don't cut people off during the same period of time that the DHS called the crisis season, November 1st through May 31st.
Well, if we have a nice November and the
Yeah.
temperatures are 40s, 50s, we still turn people off.
Oh,
When
so
the
it's
weather-
more based on temperature than
Yes.
time?
Yep.
How cold does it have to be before we don't shut them off?
I can't give you a certain temperature, but we look at the forecast. If we feel there's a potential for pipes to freeze in a home, we won't turn them off.
Okay.
We're very mindful of,
You won't be
you know.
comfortable in your house,
Yeah.
but
But
the
your pipes won't
freeze.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
What else do we have here? We currently charge a deposit fee of $200. We're not proposing any difference there. Pretty much in line with what other people charge there. We do currently charge $15 for an NSF check. Second offenders, we're asking for that to go to $25.
During this conversation, I think you said they billed 2,000 bills in a month?
We send out about 3,500 utility bills a
Oh, I
month.
thought I heard you. So I was trying to get a volume.
Oh, we collected $22,130 last month. We billed out penalties in that amount.
So it's less than 10% of the bills that actually go out that become a problem that requires more action.
Well, but to hand deliver 200 of these,
Oh, I understand that, but,
That's
yeah, right. And
labor
what
intensive.
we're talking about really is the cost of running a utility
yep.
being borne at least partly by the problem accounts that require more action. So does the commission have any questions?
Is this amendment summarized on one sheet of paper here?
Yep,
Is that the one that's got the strike-offs and the blue and the?
yes.
Okay, it doesn't
That's
say
the-
anything about your NSF comment, but I don't think it does. So basically, we would be changing the amount of penalty charges.
Yep, section 11, the very first paragraph there, a $25 charge will be assessed to your
Oh,
bill for
okay.
each non-sufficient
Okay, I
fund.
see it.
I was pretty sure she was going to be able to show you where it was in there.
Oh, it wasn't in blue, I was looking for blue.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're only amending section 11, 14, 18, but we gave you the whole policy
Okay.
for those that hadn't seen the whole policy in the past.
Something else in regard to the season where, you know, our policy basically talks about November 1st through March 31st. Do we want to put that in line with the state as
May
well?
1st,
or-
May 31st, rather.
Well, it says March 31st on our.
But- And you're talking about instead of that, May 31st, which is what
Correct.
the state says.
Or not.
If we have a nice April, do we not want to have the ability to turn people off if the weather?
Darla said that this is getting more difficult, I think you said. Back when I was the treasurer here, we could pretty much do whatever we wanted with the utility because it's owned by the citizens of the city. That has changed dramatically since I retired. Now the city has to follow the rules of the state utility commission, and so your comment would, I would almost think probably it should say that because of that very reason. We are attempting to follow to a much greater extent the state
Well,
utility commission
there's no-
for that are set up. Those rules are set up for private investor-owned utilities.
Yeah.
In order for them to operate in the state of Michigan, they got to follow the rules of that board. We never had to before because the citizens owned their own utility, and we've since been told we can't operate that way anymore.
But we still have the ability to create our own policy and
Right.
enforce. Unless that changes too by the state, which
Could happen.
could happen.
So by adopting this policy, it ensures us that DHS will be much easier for our utility department to deal with when we're talking about past due accounts.
Yeah, I personally don't have any problem with these charges and penalties because it may encourage people to hopefully pay their bills on time as well as the penalties get a little stiffer, you know. Because if the penalty doesn't fit the crime, well then people sometimes continue to do it, you know.
Right, that's,
So,
Any other questions?
I'd move that we approve the recommended changes to the utility shut-off policy.
I support it.
It's been moved and supported to approve the recommendations from staff regarding your utility shut-off policy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion is carried. Next item is our own business, our regular city commission meeting. We get to decide whether we want to have a meeting or whether we will cancel or reschedule the meeting. It's your pleasure.
I would support the staff recommendation to not have the meeting.
I'll second.
It's been moved and supported to cancel the next meeting. If there is a need for a meeting, staff would contact the city commission and we'd have to have a special meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion's carried. Next item, the city clerk is publishing the 2014 regular city commission meeting dates per charter requirement and Open Meetings Act requirement. Kim?
Exactly. It is a requirement that we do publish it. Any changes that are made throughout the year, obviously those are published, you know, as soon as the change is made, whether it be reschedule or cancellation. But at the beginning, you know, for the 2014 year, we need to publish all the dates. The only conflict that I saw where a meeting fell on a holiday that we are closed is the Memorial Day. Typically that's been canceled. If business needed to come up, we would have that. So that would be the only one that I would see, you know, if you wanted to make that decision now, or if you want to publish it with the meeting being held on that date and cancel as it got closer, or reschedule.
I think in the past, the commissions have dealt with that as it got closer to the date.
Right. Yeah, it would be listed in this publication to comply with what we're required to do, but posted as needed.
And then we'd do something similar to what we had just done.
Yes.
So we do need a motion to approve the meeting schedule presented to us by the city clerk.
I'll vote.
Okay. Dave moves. I'll second.
It's been moved and supported to adopt the 2014 city commission meeting schedule presented to us by the city clerk. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion is carried. City managers reports.
two very exciting pieces of information tonight. We are making snow as we speak from the reservoir
All right.
out of our new gun, so, and the old fan gun. So if you want to check it out, go to our website, gladstonemi.org, and click on the webcam at the sports park, and you'll see us making snow.
This sounds like a great story
Very
for the Daily
exciting.
Press, don't you think?
Yes, very good story for the Daily Press. My other second piece of very exciting news is the signal on top of South Hill Road, maybe you've noticed, Hugo, is working. The contractor was up here last week for a couple days, got everything hooked up, and realized there was something wrong with the light that they ordered or whatever, but it worked. So today they were supposed to be back to install the correct light and the sign, and
So if anybody knows anybody that lives on the South Bluff, they're probably pretty happy with that action.
you see red light comes on, it means the train, the track, the road is blocked, so you may want to seek an alternate route, so.
We've spent a lot of time in the last few years on that issue, so I guess
Yep.
staff should be
I am
really commended for
very
getting
excited
that
that's
project
done.
taken care of.
It should be real helpful.
Last Friday, I closed on the former Front Row Video Building, 911 Delta Avenue. The DDA purchased that. So that was another very exciting piece of information. I was down there this afternoon with one of the DDA board members. They hadn't had a chance to tour the building in any of the walkthroughs that we had, so we kind of looked around. And Wednesday morning at our next DDA meeting, we will begin the plans for what are we going to do this winter, if anything. It needs a new roof, so we don't want to do too much inside that could be damaged by the roof leaking or whatever. So we're planning that at the DDA meeting. And just wanted to thank the commissioners for last Friday. If you attended the tour, thank you. I hope it gave you a chance to see other facilities besides City Hall, where you probably come pretty regularly. And thank you for attending the employee luncheon. I try to have employee luncheons quarterly, and we normally bring in some outside speakers. This time we watched a video, and I think it was very good information, some good suggestions for us, for staff to think about and maybe propose to the commission during budget time. If you missed the tour or you'd like to see one of the facilities, just let me know and we can get something set up. Staff is already working on the 2014-2015 budget, so we'll be looking for numbers soon on that. And since we canceled our next meeting, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. That's all I have.
City Commission and committee reports. Usually we don't have much in there. That would be for if commissioners attended any meeting like the Planning Commission or the EDC or the DDA and they had any comments about the meetings that they attended. Hearing none. That also takes care of board and commission reports.
I have a comment,
We do.
and I think I've probably talked to staff a little bit about this. I serve on the landfill authority, and this is more for information for the general public to help us with this, but we do a fair amount of recycling in Delta County, and it helps us offset the cost of running a landfill in several ways. Since we've gone to the automated systems with the City of Escanaba and the City of Gladstone, we've been picking up more trash in the recyclables. And this is a process where it's actually, the recyclables are separated, and it's created some issues not only in the handling of the recyclables, because there's more trash to take out of the stream, the recyclable stream, but it also causes a problem for the landfill in the licensing of the recycling center. If we have over a certain percentage over a period of time of waste in the system, then we have to license the recycling center differently, which could cost the landfill a considerable sum of money, which would cause increased tipping fees, increased cost to the people of Delta County. So for the folks out there who might be seeing this or hearing this, if you can be maybe just a little bit more careful in the recycling end of it, for those of you that are recycling, hopefully everyone is, it's on volunteer basis, but to make sure that the recyclables, that you're clear on what the recyclables are, and that we're putting them in the right bin. And if you're not sure, well, then just throw them maybe probably in general.
That sounds like a good article for us too, to get some education out there.
Yeah. And, you know, we'll probably be doing something here, you know, how should I say, just to remind the public that we need to take care of this, because otherwise it could be extra cost for all of us, you know. Anyway, the landfill will be coming probably through with a suggestion that we can do as a county, but if there's anything we can do as communities to help this, basically the education end of the recycling, because it has changed a little bit over the years. At one time, glass was accepted, now it isn't, and so you can also go to our website, I believe, and it's on our website what's actually recyclable. So, but if the general public, if everyone listening out there could just maybe kind of be mindful of it and think about what they're recycling and how they're going about it, would be helpful.
Now we move to public comment. And there was nothing. And we move to city commissioner comments. Commissioner Nemechek.
As a follow-up to what Hugo said, I think we also need to make the public clear as to what should be put in the trash barrel. because the way you look at the situation, if it doesn't go in the recyclable bin, it doesn't necessarily go in the trash barrel. For instance, I have a snow shovel that's worn out, but it's metal. No, it'll fit in the trash barrel. But that's not where it should be. But 90% of the population would throw it in the trash barrel. It should be it's metal, so, and how about, I don't know the answer to some of the things, these bulbs, these fluorescent bulbs, and then the ones that have the lead in them. You know, you throw those in the trash barrel? I don't know.
Not supposed to.
Huh? If you're not supposed to, though, where should the public put them?
Yeah.
And I think what would be a good idea is if we had an information sheet to go with the utility bills once in a while, so that people know what to do. Because I think people would do it if they knew what to do, because it's not totally clear what's on the top of that recycle. I know it has directions on it, but it's not totally clear.
I'm guessing you're going to see that in the future. I can see what you can't see over here. She's writing.
We've sent the, I think the landfill put together kind of a brochure of what to put in what bin and how to clean it or whatever, but we've sent it in the past a couple times, but wouldn't hurt to update that and
Thank you.
send it out again.
The other thing I wanted to say is that I'm obviously new on this ship, and I did get a chance to meet many of the employees and also tour some of the facilities. I've been an employer most of my life, and I was impressed with the quality of the employees that the city has, from, all the way up, including Darla. And facility-wise, it looks like the Department of Public Works needs a little, it's pretty sad down there. The rest of it looks fine, but Department of Public Works, it's in an old building that was it's really past its planned lifespan. But anyway. Other than that, I wish
Absolutely. That building was probably built for a 25 to 30-year lifespan
That's
in
probably what it is.
1971, so it's
I'm surprised
15
it still
years.
has a roof that it hasn't rusted through. But
Could
anyway,
happen.
Merry
Commissioner
Christmas
Bostwick.
and Happy New Year.
I too want to thank the city, the staff and all that for putting out that luncheon and being able to see the public safety department and the wastewater treatment and the public works and the city hall here and electrical department. I learned a lot, so I want to thank you for that and just to wish everyone happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Commissioner Mattman.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day. For folks that maybe haven't seen our facilities, if you have an opportunity to go to the water plant or to the, or to come to City Hall and see what's been happening, or maybe go to public safety, it's time well spent. And I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
I also, of course, attended the employee luncheon and a little bit of the tour. I used to work here, so the tour isn't all that interesting to me. I'm sure it's a lot more interesting to you guys. I'm really impressed by your comment on city employees. I've pretty much always felt that way as well. I think it's really hard to be a public employee today. You get beat up a lot. I think we've got some very good employees, and I was very impressed that the 5 commissioners took the time out of their day to at least show up for the luncheon and to hear some of the things that the city is talking about doing and going forward. I think we have pretty good leadership and we have excellent employees, so thank you for coming. I've done that many times, so it's kind of new, not new to me. I have a DDA meeting coming up on this Wednesday, is that correct? Yes, Wednesday, so I will be in attendance at that meeting. I've been trying to push the DDA, as you heard me say at the employee luncheon, to become the lead in marketing this community. They have the wherewithal to do it. Trying to be gentle about it. I heard some conversation down at the end of the table about the newly elected officials workshop. I would highly recommend you guys try and attend that up in Marquette. When Commissioner Olson was newly elected, I went up there to the meeting and he stopped me partway through the meeting and he says, "So, okay, so what's the strategy?" As a business person, he was looking for strategy. And so him and I joked about that a lot. He was my neighbor, of course, and I'd say, "You get the strategy?" But I do think it would be a good meeting for both Commissioner Nemechek and Commissioner Bostrick to attend if you get the opportunity. I know you have other things going on as well, so it may not be easy to do. I too would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. And with that, we move to City Clerk comments. You thought I'd forgot.
I was also encouraging for the Elected Officials Academy, very good sessions that they do hold. Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act. There are some changes, within the Freedom of Information Act, even, very recently, and some proposed things. So every time there's a training opportunity, I encourage not just new ones to go, but also existing ones if so interested or could do it. And then also a parliamentary procedure, which always seems kind of like a scary thing. They are having a good session right after those others, so kind of an all-dayer. But I included the registration form in your packet, so if you could take a look at it and see, and if maybe you could let me know prior to the holidays, just with the holidays in that I don't want to miss the registration deadline, which is the first part of January. So
Will you be going?
yes, I will be going.
You probably hit your ride.
Yeah, so I figured once I knew who was all going, we could figure out the carpool situation. But I know one has confirmed, so just looking for anybody else. If you check your schedule and maybe before the Christmas break, we can get that settled. So get to go to market. And then also, I would like to put out there also with the director that of public safety that winter parking restrictions are now in effect. So they're posted on our website. I believe there's copies up front too for people who aren't aware of where you can and where you can't. But they are in effect with our snow.
Very good. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, we will adjourn. We stand adjourned.